This is not clickbait, this is not sensationalized, this is real. Twitter announced that it would start charging new users in some countries $1 a year in order to be able to use the Twitter platform. And we'll get into why that decision happened, but first we need some background and context as to how we got here. Now, Elon Musk, who is the current owner of Twitter, absolutely loved Twitter, and specifically on Twitter, what he really loved was the freedom of speech, to the point where anytime Twitter would restrict or ban users, short of them having committed a crime, Elon was very vocally outspoken against that. Most famously, perhaps, was when he was outspokenly against Twitter having banned Trump, as you can see from this thread in November of last year. I'm fine with Trump not tweeting. The important thing is that Twitter's made a grave mistake in banning his account, despite no violation of the law or terms of service. Deplatforming a sitting president undermined the public trust in Twitter for half of America. As a reminder, I was a significant supporter of Biden administration, reluctantly voted for Biden over Trump, but freedom of speech is the bedrock of a strong democracy and must take precedence. And even though this is a more recent thread, this reflects his views over the last several years, essentially, where he views Twitter as kind of this town hall for freedom of speech in which anyone can say most anything, and as long as it's not illegal, it should be allowed. Some of you might find it ironic that you will now be charged in order to use your freedom of speech, but we'll talk about that later. So Elon Musk sees Twitter as kind of this town hall where freedom of speech should thrive, and because he views Twitter as being complacent and rolling over and doing things like banning Trump's account and so on and so forth, he decides, as you famously know, that he's going to buy Twitter for $44 billion. Now, this was a very messy acquisition, but eventually he was forced to do it, I believe, by a judge because he said he would, and there's just one issue that Elon Musk is continuously touting. The one big problem with Twitter right now, he says, is bots. Right here, you can say specifically 90% of my comments are bots, and I think anyone, whoopsie daisies, that's been on Twitter knows that this is pretty much the case. There are bots everywhere, and so the solution to that, Elon Musk decides, is to charge money. He says that he's going to start charging money for verification, specifically on Twitter. Elon Musk says charging for blue checkmarks is the only way to stop bots and trolls. This is a big thing that he's been going after for basically the entire time leading up to the acquisition of Twitter, and now post-acquisition is Elon Musk's war on bots. He thinks that there are millions of people who are creating millions upon millions of bot accounts in order to either promote fake news or suppress real news stories or to push a political agenda, and that's generally, in his mind, a left-leaning agenda is being pushed by these bots. So he then decides that he's going to start charging for Twitter verification. In an unexpectedly controversial fashion, Musk plans to charge verified accounts to pay up to $20 per month to retain the blue badge of authority. The news generated overwhelmingly negative response. Prolific author Stephen King was among the those miffed about the proposal, and Musk replied to his tweet with an offer to lower it to $8 per month. Interestingly, though, Musk added that it is the only way to defeat bots and trolls. Musk has previously defended the idea by claiming that Twitter needs to sustain itself financially and that it can't rely solely on advertisers. In the early days of wooing bankers for Twitter's purchase, Elon Musk told them that he was expecting 69 million Twitter Blue subscribers by 2025 and over 150 million by 2028. Now, as for this last piece about the 69 million users and 150 million users by 2028, these are insanely generous reads. So currently, Twitter has about 528 million users, which would mean that Elon Musk believes that something like 28% of Twitter's users are going to be signing up to pay $8 per month, and that seems really very generous, especially since, as of right now, according to Statista's best estimates, about 0.2% of all of Twitter's users are actually paying for Twitter Blue. I don't see a world in which that jumps up 100-fold for really no apparent reason. So Elon Musk has this war against bots, and he decides that the only way really to combat it is by charging $8 per month if you are on Android, or $11 per month if you're on iOS. And despite people being pretty generally upset about this, thinking it's dumb and wanting to keep the old Twitter Blue verification system, Elon Musk updates it, and $8 Twitter Blue subscriptions are coming back with phone number verification and a higher price of $11 on iOS, because Apple charges like 10 or 20% of every purchase done through iOS. And despite being pretty unpopular, that was the last we heard of this whole charging for Twitter story until this article came out. Elon Musk says Twitter, now X, is moving to monthly subscription fees and has 550 million users. Elon Musk discussed his plans for Twitter, now called X, on Monday during a live stream conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last name. Among other things, Elon Musk said that the social network is, quote, moving to having small monthly payments for the use of the X system in order to combat, quote, the vast armies of bots. And then Elon Musk did not say how much the new plan would cost users of the social network or what other features would or would not be included with the payment of the lowest tier. And honestly, people really didn't take him particularly seriously because Elon Musk is known for saying he's going to do a lot of stuff with Twitter, and then when it becomes unpopular, he'll walk it back, or he will just kind of not do it at all in the first place. And I'll be honest, I was one of the people that thought it wasn't going to happen. I thought it was dumb and stupid, and because I would never pay for Twitter, I figured most people probably wouldn't pay for Twitter, so there was no point in really even entertaining the idea that this would happen. Elon Musk was looking for a headline to promote this live-streamed conversation that he had with the Israeli Prime Minister. He got that, he won, that's what he wanted. It was a publicity stunt. Nothing more to see here, folks, except that it's kind of real. Twitter launched this new Not a Bot initiative, and I'm just going to read through the whole thing because it is what the title of the video is about, and frankly, it's kind of insane. As of October 17th, 2023, we've started testing Not a Bot, a new subscription method for new users in 2 countries. This new test was developed to bolster our already significant efforts to reduce spam manipulation of our platform and bot activity. This will evaluate a potentially powerful measure to help us combat bots and spammers on X while balancing platform accessibility with a small fee amount. Within this test, existing users are not affected. Here's how this new test will work for new accounts on the web in New Zealand and the Philippines. Step 1, phone verification. New accounts created on X in these 2 countries will be required to verify their phone number. Step 2, select your subscription plan, $1 USD fees, blah, blah, blah. Prices may vary by country. New users will be able to perform certain actions on the web versions of the platform, like post content, like posts, reply, repost, and quote other people's posts, and bookmark posts. New users who opt out of subscribing will only be able to use the read-only actions, such as read post, watch videos, and follow account. This new program aims to defend against bots and spammers who attempt to manipulate the platform and disrupt the experience of other X users. I would argue that being charged kind of really disrupts the experience of X users, but whatever. We look forward to sharing more about the results soon. Basically, if you're a new user in one of these 2 countries and you're signing up on the web, you have the ability to scroll Twitter normally unless you want to actually do things like post or reply or bookmark posts, in which case you do have to be paying that $1 per year. Now, I believe the idea here, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think the idea is that people just browsing Twitter is actually pretty cheap for the website, and so they're not charged anything, but doing things like making posts, adding bookmarks, or posting stuff like videos takes up a lot of server space. If you're just browsing, then you see ads, which makes Twitter money, but you're not actually using up a bunch of Twitter's resources, so you're pretty inexpensive to be allowed on the website. But if you're doing things like posting videos, then you're not making back the money in advertisement that you're costing Twitter. So you will now be charged $1 a year in order to try and offset these costs. However, if this is rolled out, it will at absolute best kill Twitter's growth, as no new people are interested in signing up for a paid social media platform. And at worst, it will cause the growth to actually go down if already existing Twitter members are required to start paying this, because people quite simply are just not going to do it. They're going to leave and spend more time on YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, or any of the other dozens of social media platforms out there that exist. Now, as for why this is happening, this probably has something to do with it. This is from SimilarWeb, which is a huge data crunching company. They buy a bunch of data about all the different websites that are out there from first parties and like widget users and like Amazon Web Services purchasing their data, stuff like that. They crunch it up into reports, and then people can purchase the reports. This is all they do, but they put out this thing recently on Twitter. 1 year into Musk's ownership, X Twitter down by every measure. They crunched these numbers, and they said in September, total global traffic to twitter.com was down 14% year over year, and traffic to ads.twitter.com portal for advertisers was down 16.5%, according to SimilarWeb estimates. Now, you're absolutely welcome to go through this and read this whole thing. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to, but basically what we're seeing here is that Twitter is having fewer users on the website, and with fewer users on the website and fewer advertisers, as we can see, down 16.5%, that's less money that's coming in, even though their costs are probably not changing that much. So Twitter has to find a way to quickly and creatively make a lot of money in a very short amount of time, because it's got that $44 billion to pay back, and that's not including the interest payments, which are also building up. Now, as for why this is happening as a whole, I want to dive into a conspiracy theory that I've concocted, and please bear in mind this is entirely me just talking out my butt and putting on my good old tinfoil hat and telling you what I think. Twitter isn't profitable, and I think we all pretty much know that, but But what you can do in order to make a company profitable pretty quickly is you can start charging a large amount of free users to start using the website. And most of them will leave, but that's not a bug, that's actually kind of a feature. Say Elon Musk starts charging people, so basically only the most hardcore and devoted Twitter users stick around. That's actually pretty good for him. Let's say 99% of Twitter leaves. Based on the earlier metric that we saw, that leaves about 5.2 million people who are still both actively using Twitter, but also now paying $1 a year for it. And that's not including the people that are paying the $8 a month or $11 per month for the Twitter Blue subscription. In addition to that, there's also the advertising revenue that Twitter is getting off of people that are seeing the ads. And even though that sounds bad at first, that you've got far fewer users total, so of course you would be making less money off of stuff like advertising, think about the server costs and how cheap it would be to host only 5.2 million people as opposed to 500 million people. You could get rid of most of your engineers. Maybe you could get rid of most of your server costs. You could probably get rid of a bunch of like plugins and other services that you're using, or other companies you have hired to take care of difficult tasks. Your like accounting costs would go down, and so on and so forth. Basically, everything would get 100 times cheaper, and Twitter might become profitable. The only people that are left on Twitter are people that are actively paying for it. And if you're paying for it, probably you're making Twitter so much more money than you would be if you were just passively scrolling past advertisements that you never click on. Now, obviously that could entirely be wrong, and this is just an experiment to see what happens. It'll be nixed after a couple of weeks. But honestly, whatever happens, I promise to make an update on it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.